Hello and welcome. I hope you're safe and well. In today's exciting episode, I am going to bead the pink and white jacket. So it's Berta 6123, and I made it in a previous episode, and now I'm just putting loads of beads and sequins on it.
It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket.
As I said, there's a previous episode where I actually made the jacket. That's the pattern. It's a super easy Chanel style jacket, and the tweed is from Linden Tweeds in the UK, but I bought it several years ago. They release a few new tweeds every week, so there's always something lovely, even though you probably can't get this one. Anyway, so it's a tweed jacket, and it's got a structural layer as well, which is that neon yellow netting on the back, and then I stitched them together. This is me just showing you the stitches. It's one huge big back piece, and then front left, front right, and it's dolman sleeve. That means that the sleeve is part of the jacket. You don't have to stitch the sleeve on separately. So I cut out the back, stitched it to the structural layer. Here you go, you can see the stitches. Just hand stitched it together. Because tweed is beautiful, but it sags, so you just stitch it to a structural layer, and then it looks beautiful forever. So I machine sewed them together at the shoulder seams. Goes from the shoulder right down to the wrist, and then I left the undersleeve and the side seams open so that I can bead everything. Then I'll hand stitch those seams closed. So I had to stitch up the seam allowance so that it's all ready to bead. And then I just put safety pins in where I'm going to hand stitch so that I could show you what the finished jacket is going to look like. And now we'll leave it on the mannequin, and that's, you can see the actual episode for how to do it properly, but that's basically in a nutshell how it was made. And this is what it looks like. So the actual pattern, if you just use it straight out of the packet, the neckline is closer to the neck, and I made that curve at the back, and the back was a bit baggy, so I tighten that up as well. Just took out a bit of the ease. I'm going to change the back because at the side it's a little bit too but anyway, that's what it ended up looking like, and I gave you a little bit of a preview of what the beads and the sequins I was going to use. And so now we have to prepare the sequins and the beads before I can actually get the jacket down. So we'll leave it on the mannequin for now, and we'll do all the prep that has to be done on these sequins. Okay, there's going to be 4 different types of beading. Type 1 is big disc, round discs. They've got 1 hole in them. So the smaller ones need at least 2 holes, and I need to fold them in half. And the larger ones need at least 3 holes so that I can anchor them with 3 seed beads. So I've got a kilt pin, which is nice and big and round and sturdy enough to stab this really, really hard plastic. And now I have to go along and just stab hundreds and hundreds of, there's like 200 or something of each size. So it's a lot. So I was watching something, and I just sat there and stabbed them all. And you have to do it really carefully so that you don't crease the sequin. So anyway, they are all done, and I've popped them back in the bag. The second type of beading will be 2 of these plastic cone-shaped red or triangle-shaped red beads. So I've got them in a container. The next type of beading is there's sort of a flower-shaped round sequin with a central hole. So I'm going to do 2, one on top of the other. So the top one has to, I have to fold up the petals so that it looks like 2, like a double layer of petals. So you can only do that when you put it on a pearl tip pin. So I did loads of those. And then the last type of beading is these tiny little flowers, and I don't have to do any prep for them, but I just had to make sure I had enough, and and just pour them into a tiny little needle tray. So there's enough of those. And I did think about doing one of the flowers and a plain circles sequin underneath, but I'm just going to do the flower one. So I also need loads of clear seed beads to attach them to, and this is going to have a big triangle on the back. So I've got these other beads. If I don't have enough of what I've got, then I might use these beads on the triangle, but I'll hopefully just use what I have. And then I also got out a couple of packets of needles and threaded them, because I don't like to stop and rethread each needle and use just one needle. I prefer to have like 20 or 30 needles all threaded up, ready to go. So I've done that. And now it is time to finally take the jacket off the mannequin and carefully unpin all these little pins. And now it's back to its butterflied state, and it's nice and flat, and it's just so much easier to do the beading especially if you're doing beading that has sequin in it, because sequins are incredibly lightweight. And so it's when you're beading with beads that have a bit of weight to them, like a nice heavy glass bead, it sort of holds itself where you want to stitch it to because of the weight, whereas a sequin is so light, it tends to sort of jump off and float off or slide off, so it can be really frustrating. So here I've started. So every second, like the dark pink and the white squares, checks, have the large sequins on them, and then in between those there's 3 different types of beading, and I do little flowers, pale pink flowers, and then triangle beads. So I sort of alternate between those. It kind of seems overly complicated and not very impressive when I've only done one, but once I've done more, you can sort of see the pattern. So every second one is the larger sequins, and that sort of anchors the design. Every second one with all the little busy designs, I don't know, I think it's a nice mix between way too much character, and the larger ones are sort of bringing it back and not making it too, well, it is very over the top. I know it is, but I don't know. I like it. It's good to do something that's, it's incredibly challenging because you have to sort of figure out what's going where and everything, but it's also really cute. It just takes so long, but yeah, I'm really happy with it. So now I won't keep stopping and filming every 2 seconds. Well, it's not every 2 seconds, but every 2 rows. I will get back to it, and once I've done a lot more, I will show you some more. Wish me luck and patience. Lots of patience. Goodness, I wasn't kidding about the patience. This is taking forever. I think now you're seeing my video on another layer cake dress I made. It's called the lobster dress, but I didn't end up using the lobster fabric in it. And so I'm going to make a matching lobster jacket with the lobster fabric. We'll use it eventually. I think I might use this pattern, this Berta 6123. Anyway, so I got bored on the front and I moved onto the back because, not different at all, but it just felt like it was a change moving from there. So I just kept going up the front and then crossed over the shoulder and went down the back. So, and this is a few hours later. So I've done sort of one side of the front and some of one side of the back. And now normally I would move over and do the other front so that they're both they're basically mirror images of each other, but I've got enough of everything that I used on the front to do that. I think I might keep going with this sleeve and so half of it is completely beaded, and then I might drape it over the mannequin and show you the difference between the half that's done and the half that isn't done. That might be interesting for you, because at the moment I'm just showing you one close-up after another close-up. Oh, and I got some more beads, yeah, because this takes so much focus and concentration, and you just, because everything is so light when you're working with sequins, you have to, and it's not on a frame, you actually have to hold everything exactly with the right tension, so that if you pull it too hard, then everything sort of just pulls off the table and jumps out at you. And oh my gosh, it's just, it's really time consuming and very, very technical. But it's also, it looks so cute. That's what I love about it. Like, you have to be technically proficient to make something like this. But it kind of also just looks like kids were having fun and glued stuff everywhere. Like, you never use glue in this type of embellishment work. You absolutely never. But you know what I mean. And now I'm just showing you how mixing the 4 different types of beading together, I just think it looks so cute. And it's actually quite hard to get them because every second row is offset. So it's quite difficult to, like, you don't want too many of the pink flowers next to each other. Oh, and this was another, so I've done more embellishment since I took that footage. You can't really see the design on the back, the triangle. So that's why I got out those red beads. I'm going to overbead it with solid red beads, that it's more, so that it's more prominent. And yeah, oh, and because when I'm doing the editing of each video, I sit over on a sofa on the other side of the room, and I can see the side, because the sofa's a little bit lower than my workbench, I can see right across it. And it's just this, like when this jacket's done and made and turned into a jacket, it's just going to be so textural, and the light play through all these transparent sequins. It's just delightful. So yeah, it's going to be awesome once it's finished, but oh my gosh, it's just taking forever. But I don't know, sometimes when you make things, you're just like, wow, my technique from like what it was like when I started this jacket to what it is now, it's a steep learning curve. Well, on that note, I better go learn some more by beading some more. I will be back at some point. Oh my goodness, yes, this beading is taking a long time. This video is just going to be me beading half the jacket because, goodness, this beading has taken so long. But I finally got to the point where half of the beading is done, and yeah, there's enough footage to make one video, and there is not enough time to do the whole of the beading. So yes, I'm just going to bead half the jacket. Hopefully I'll have the rest finished by, and this is me just showing you more of the same. But yeah, oh, and I had little neat piles, and then I accidentally pulled the thread, like it knotted, and I tried to just pull it through, and all of this just flew off and onto the floor. So well done me. But yes, it's a constant struggle. This type of beading with really, really lightweight sequins and beads is just, it tests your patience. It really does. So then I made a little pack lunch with a little bit of everything on it, on the lid of the berry tray, and this was much easier to work with. So if you follow Lesage on Instagram, or there's a couple of other really, really luxe embroidery houses in Paris, they what they do is they make sort of a circle of fabric, and then they put a weighted, like a bit of metal or heavy plastic inside it, and then they put another layer of plastic on top. Oh, this is me just telling you I've had to stop and reload my little tray of everything, and I'm just using a plastic tray, but it's really light. It would be better to use a glass tray, except I drop everything, so you can't use glass because it would shatter. But you can make real embroiderers who get paid to do embellishments, what they do is they just make a material one, and it's weighted on the inside, and then so it's just a couple of layers of fabric with a weight sewn inside essentially, and it's flat on the bottom, and it's just enough to hold like the next 50 beads that you're going to use. So it's really, really useful. And then they just do that embroidered rope around the edge so that their beads don't fall out and onto the piece that they're working on. This is me trying to show you the triangle on the back. It's a big triangle. In the next video I'll show you, because I've added flowers to it. It's going to be an oasis, and I've started adding the flowers to it, and it's going to be magnificent. It's just going to be so beautiful. Anyway, so this is the underside, because some of you want to see, I've got a whole beading video on how to bead things, but that's just shows you the back, because when you bead you're supposed to have a really clean back, and mine are like, everyone always comments on all the finicky beaders and embroiderers always comment on how clean the backs of mine are, because the front looks so organic and they just assume it's going to be messy, but they're actually quite tidy. The cleaner the back is, the better the jacket ages, so that's why it matters. Anyway, I've put these tiny little safety pins back in, not very neatly, but you can sort of see them if you look. But I'm just going to take them out again anyway. So here we go. We've got half where the beading is done and half where the beading isn't done. As I said, it's incredibly lightweight beading, but because there's so much of it, it does have a weight, but I wouldn't call it a significant weight. I like the weight of it, but I think it would be surprising how, yeah, it's not heavy. It's weighted, but not heavy, if you get what I mean. And the light play, like I should have, it was a little too late. It was after the full sun of the day, but just, after lunch and that sort of afternoon glow, early afternoon glow, if you went outside and took photos with it during that period, it would just be absolutely gorgeous, because there's sort of pink, there's neon pink, there's neon red, there's full red, and then there's another couple of reds and pinks as well. So they sort of knock it's like stained glass windows sort of knock light onto each other. And this is me showing you the back of the curve. I think I'm going to curve it up higher, and I'm going to start the curve further around. It's too close to the side seam line. I think it'll be easier if it's 1.5 inches more towards the center of the back. And I'm also going to, I think there's still a little bit more ease than I need, because the curve goes right up, and it's sort of where the small of your back is, you don't really need that much ease because the curve of your back goes in so much. And this is me trying to show you how beautiful it is when it moves. It's just, I get way too mesmerized by all the sequins, when the light play on the sequins. I love it. I just love it so much. And yeah, I think it's really good, the balance between all the different types of beading as well. I wasn't sure about it, especially when only 1 or 2 rows were done. I was like, oh, is this going to look good? And then I was like, have faith, have faith. And yeah, I know some of you there's always some people who say I would have preferred just the plain tweed jacket. And, if I had oodles of money, then I probably would make one that was just tweed and then make a couple of other ones that I could bead in different ways. But I only have enough money to make, sometimes I have enough tweed to buy 2 jackets. But for the most part, I only have enough to buy enough tweed for 1 jacket. And yeah, I don't know. And I had loads of sequins to use up. And this is me just comparing the two. So they're both technically bolero jackets. They're both very cropped jackets. And yeah, they're just so completely different though. I'll wear them the same way. I'll wear both of them over jeans and a t-shirt. But yeah, I love the back of this pink one that I'm making. Oh, they're both pink. The sequin one that I'm making now. It's just, this is me trying to capture the light. It's just incredible. Looking at it in person, is just amazing. Once I've finished the entire jacket, it'll be easier because I'll be able to turn it round and catch the light, whereas the way it was now, only half of it was done, so I could only target certain angles. And anyway, so yeah, I'm obviously very, very happy with what I've done, but I think this was the next day. It's amazing. I wasn't sure about using the red and the pink together. So that's why, it was such a good move. Like, it would have been much safer just to do pinks, but adding the there's a couple of different reds in there, and I love it. Anyway, so that's it. Now I have to carefully take these tiny little brass pins out again and continue doing the other half. And so that was that video, but I'll give you a sneak peek of the triangle oasis on the back. And you can sort of see how I started beading the flowers. And it's not clear yet, but it's just going to be amazing. There's so much detail on this jacket, and it's also going to have a couple of things, one thing on each sleeve, so there's lots more work still to go. I think the next video I'll show you the finished beading, show you how I did the oasis triangle on the back and the two other features, and then I'll make the silk lining and I'll hand stitch that in and show you how I did that. And yeah, maybe do a little beading video section where I show you how I did each of the types of beading as well. It's kind of basic. If you've seen the other beading video, then it's the same thing. As long as you know what an anchor bead is, and you know with the bigger beads that you stitch each bead on twice, like stitch it on once, adjust it, and then stitch it on again, then you should be fine. Beading isn't that complicated. It just takes a very, very, very long time. So anyway, that is it for this video. Oh, I love this jacket so much. I just love it. I'm going to go do the other half of this beading. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've been inspired to do some beading project of your own, because beading is awesome. And sewing is too. Thanks again for watching, and happy sewing.